reports from those in Irene's path at weather.com/social.
Oh my God! Whoa!
I just got that on video.
We cannot stress enough the danger trees pose during Irene. You see this one falling in Richmond, Virginia. Rains have really saturated.
And we're just hours away now from landfall here in New England. It's all getting started tonight with rain and also some wind. Live look at Boston tonight. And Irene's already left behind significant damage. North Carolina hit hard. This is Atlantic Beach, where trees and power lines were knocked down and debris thrown around by those wind gusts. And it's not just the wind causing trouble. Take a look at this flooded neighborhood in Aurora, North Carolina. A boat there ending up on a front yard. And we're now just hours from Irene arriving here in Massachusetts.
The effects of the storm are already being felt in many ways tonight. In fact, the MBTA will shut down service tomorrow starting at 8 a.m. That's a change from what was announced earlier, but starting at 8 a.m. there won't be any subway or bus service in and around the city, so do keep that in mind. Irene's winds have not arrived yet, but Boston saw some heavy downpours this afternoon. Some areas even saw flooded streets a little earlier. In Sudbury, those storms took down a tree. This one, the trees blocked streets and took down some power lines too in that neighborhood. The night team has this monster storm covered from the Cape to Western Mass, and our reporters are everywhere for you. Also, some breaking news to share with you right now. The storm causing some tornadoes to touch down. Here's Chief Meteorologist Pete Bouchard.
All right, and we're seeing that across New Jersey. Each one of these bands that comes in off the ocean is suspect too, and the radars are scoping it out, and they found a couple of tornadoes. There have been reports, unconfirmed reports, of about a handful of them across New Jersey. We can say at least 2 to 3 right now in any one of these bands. When you see these red bands coming in southern New Jersey, they may hook or at least put a spin on that cloud, and we might be looking at some tornadoes. Confirmed tornado now just outside of Dover, Delaware, and that did some damage down there. But this is the heart of the storm in terms of intense thunderstorms, strong gusty winds, and also that threat for those tornadoes at most of central and southern New Jersey. Outermost rain bands, that's what we're calling them. We're giving them a label now. Reaching up into southern New Hampshire right now, just moving out of the Merrimack, and it is one of those situations where we get those lulls in between each band of intense rain. We'll be seeing more of this start to gang up on New England, but for all intents and purposes, it's quiet out there in terms of wind. The wind isn't all that fierce right now. Hurricane warnings are still up down through Buzzards Bay, Cape Cod, and the islands. Tropical storm warnings in the shading of orange that goes all the way up into southern Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, most of southern and central New England right now. Eyes on Irene, the latest advisory coming in from the Hurricane Center. It seems to be on the hour. We were thinking maybe every 2 hours now, but we just got this intermediate advisory at about 9 o'clock now. So winds to 80 miles per hour, and that's sustained on the eastern side of this storm system. So this storm is not really letting go. Everything that has been thrown at Irene in terms of dry air, in terms of upper level wind, she has beaten back. So that gives us a little bit of pause for one, and a little bit of cause for concern that she may come barreling into at least New York City as a strong tropical storm or weak hurricane. But by the time it crosses through New England, it should be downgraded to a tropical storm. Nonetheless, most of the rain is to the north of the track, so we'll be getting that through the course of the morning and into the early afternoon. It should hold this heavy rain in western Mass, but eastern Mass should taper off in the afternoon. As the storm pulls away, the winds will whip on the backside. So we have a wind event. This is a big wind event, which will create a lot of damage, small damage, and most likely small trees coming down, a lot of branches too, scattered power outages, and then that storm surge too, which piles the water up through Buzzards Bay. And that comes tomorrow evening's high tide between 8 and 9 o'clock in Buzzards Bay. And that seems to be the biggest concern. Right around Onset, right around Bourne, at the tip of Buzzards Bay, where that southwest wind meets the canal, I think we'll have a big issue with coastal flooding. Here are your current wind gusts in Hatteras, about 68 miles an hour. Think about it now. The storm is off of Virginia right now, and it's right about here, just east of Norfolk, right at the mouth of the Chesapeake. The backside is still going. And Manteo with a wind gust of 51 miles an hour. That's a case study for us tomorrow, because on the backside, we're still going to be seeing that fierce wind out of the north-northwest. We'll have much more with Dylan now. Let's go over some more important information. Dylan, take it away.
Well, Pete, yeah, we are going to see our highest impacts in areas down through the south coast of Connecticut down into Rhode Island, just because it should still be Category 1, a weak Category 1 storm by the time it crosses over Long Island. As soon as it loses its steam, because it loses the water that helps to fuel the storm and moves over land, it'll be downgraded to a tropical storm. That's why there's less impact as far as southern Massachusetts is concerned, and also northern Massachusetts, even less of an impact. Now, the impacts we are going to see most around here, it's basically the rain to the northwest of this storm and then the wind on the east side of the storm, which is where most of us are. We should only end up with around 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of rain through Boston up through the North Shore. Lesser amounts, only about an inch or two out across the Cape and Islands, and then higher amounts as you head north and west, where we get those torrential downpours like what we're seeing across New Jersey down into Maryland and Delaware right now. As for wind, we will see a period of sustained winds around 15 to perhaps even up to 70 miles per hour, but most of us seeing those sustained winds around 40 to 50 miles per hour. And if you just think about it, a sustained wind is just that constant wind that keeps going. And imagine just driving at 50 miles per hour for a steady period of time. So that is some serious wind that we'll be contending with, and that could create some down limbs, and if they fall on power lines, obviously we would be talking about some power outages too. Here's our storm surge potential, especially in this area right here, where we could end up with a storm surge up to around 5 feet, mainly because the high tide occurs around 8 to 9 o'clock Sunday evening. So this will be a concern, as some beach erosion and also your coastal flooding will be an issue with the onset of that storm surge.
And on her march up the eastern seaboard, Irene is leaving behind a trail of damage. In North Carolina, the roof of a mall collapsed in Goldsboro. Luckily, no one hurt there. However, a young child was killed.